So social media gives everybody a platform, which is probably a blessing and a curse, right?
It gives everybody a shield, so they think as well. I mean, that's the thing about it. People will say stuff and do stuff on social media behind a keyboard without even a thought of being outed or knowing. And sometimes it just gets the best of you.
Yep, 100%. And I think, with the rise of so all of us in the room are old enough to remember when we didn't have social media either.
Sure.
Well, that's why, you can sit here and talk about drinking a Bud Light on the back of the tailgate in high school.
Instead of having a criminal. There ain't no evidence. Great.
No, and back then when we were 16, we barely had cell phones.
Right.
They certainly didn't take photographs. No. If you were taking a photograph, it was on a regular camera that you had to develop, or maybe a disposable.
Usually a disposable
cameras.
Yeah, that's a time that was fantastic for young people growing up.
And people were very out in the open about their cameras.
That's right.
Like if you were at a party and somebody was going to take a picture, they were like, "Hey guys, I'm going to take a picture."
That's true.
And everybody would mind their P's and Q's, take the picture. And
people ran to the camera then. Now you run from it.
Absolutely. Sometimes you can't even run from it because people are videoing you regardless of what you even knowing.
Very true.
Yep. And so I think we've definitely seen, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later in the episode, real life examples, right, of cases that you guys have had where social media posts have affected the outcome, right?
Sure. Go ahead. I got a specific example if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
We're going to talk about that.
Yep.
I got one. Bad one.
But first, imagine feeling humiliated by one person, and then you tell 300,000 more. Well, that's exactly what happened to Dank DeMoss when she took her Lyft experience to social media, and now the internet is weighing in a really big way.
Is it Dank or Danky?
It's Dank. Don't start this again.
Well, there's an E on the end of it. I didn't know the E was.
No, it's not.
The comments are going to just eat you up, Sean. Purposefully.
I'm pretty sure if you look up her Instagram, it's Danke. And then DeMoss.
Well, I can tell you this.
I thought it was Danky.
I deep dived really far.
Yeah.
You never
in
saw
preparation.
Danky?
No.
Or Little Dank.
I was on all.
I know she's not called Little Dank.
Okay.
Or Lil. That's not her rap name. I can tell you that.
Have you seen the video?
I have seen the video.
Okay. So
she's a large woman.
So imagine you call out a company online expecting sympathy, and instead you end up with even more scrutiny, and that's exactly what happened in this case.
Yep.
So if you aren't familiar with the story, we'll share the link to the video in the description. What happened to her is that she called for a Lyft, and when the Lyft arrived, if you watch the video, the guy was very polite and apologetic.
Poor Abraham was as polite as any person I've ever seen.
Yes, and kindly told her that she could not ride in his vehicle due to her size. Now, we have photos of her that you'll see.
She's not small.
No, she's 489 pounds.
Allegedly.
And
I think she's 385.
No. I'm thinking that's like
it's 489.
That's like the girl that told you that she was 100, 5'8", 110 pounds.
Yeah.
Really means 5'6", 150. I mean,
yeah.
So I
regardless,
looking at the photographs of her, I would estimate that she's over 500 pounds.
Okay, so on her YouTube and her vlog, there's much more detail that a rabbit hole I did not want to go down. But on December 31st, she actually went to her doctor and they weighed her. It's on video, and she was down 30 pounds, and that's where the number 489 comes from. And now she could have gone up, I suppose.
Sure.
When was this incident?
December 31st, 2024.
The weight, but
early,
the
a couple
16th,
weeks ago.
I think 16th, 17th.
Yeah, she posted it on
like
the
that.
16th, yeah.
So
Something
she
around
was
there.
down 30 pounds after the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. Go, girl.
Supposedly, yeah. Yeah, so, but I think what sticks out to me about this when it comes to the social media side is, so she's basically saying she was humiliated and embarrassed by this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that I think of is, okay, so you had a one-on-one humiliating and embarrassing experience, and so then you posted it to the internet.
Yeah, and I agree. So, you can have a case, and if it gets picked up by the news or national publication, so be it. But if you were embarrassed, like this was brought to the attention of the news by her. Yeah. So that's different than, I mean, honestly, if I'm defending the case, then that I'm going to bring that out. So you're claiming that you're so offended and so hurt and so dismayed by this travesty that's happened to you that you couldn't ride and you were know, treated so badly. Well, the courts are open, but you don't have to get it out there yourself. And so as a defense attorney, I'm going to bring that up and say, how hurt could she be? Yeah. How emotionally, damaging could this be if you not only filed the lawsuit, which you're entitled to and you have a right to, which nobody would know or nobody would even read because there's lawsuits filed every second of every day, but you brought it out so everybody would know about it. Right. I think that just destroys your damages. Sean, what do you think?
I think the same thing. It's even if we looked at this under Michigan law,
that's a good distinction,
and found that the elements were present for a discrimination claim, where, in Michigan, weight is actually a protected class.
Right. And I think it's fair to say, it's the only state and protected class. There's every state has 6, 7 of them, and there's I think there's 7 federally, but Michigan protects the discrimination against weight, and that can be too light or too heavy or whatever it is.
And if you had the necessary information based on that video and what occurred, that you actually established that case, then you have to look at what were the actual damages of that. When I think about it, it's you got pissed off for a minute and you ordered another Lyft, right? Or in my mind, you ordered the appropriate Lyft to come pick you up.
There's a lot of defenses, but let's say those are out.
No, but I'm going with you. No, I'm saying it goes to damages.
Absolutely.
If a jury is looking at it, they say, okay, you got pissed off for 5 minutes and had to order another Lyft. All this stuff about I've been humiliated across America. It all came from you,
right?
Because you told people about it.
Right.
You also posted the entire video about it, which you were conveniently recording,
right?
Because I know I record whenever I get into an Uber or a Lyft. I'm recording from the minute that they pull up to the curb.
And it's a little suspicious, her being a rapper. And yes, in my deep dive, I also checked out her music.
So
I'm not saying she's terrible, but perhaps going viral may help your career.
Absolutely. And so I think it's a good point to make a distinction here as we talk about this case, and because we're talking about one thing and then going to another, but it's as lawyers how we view cases like this or any case is do you have liability, right? And so that's a whole different argument, and that's some of what Sean was talking about. There's a bunch of defenses to this driver even being liable, number one. Secondly, you have to have somebody able to pay for it. So does this driver, is he an independent contractor? Does he work for Lyft? Can they pierce the veil to get to Lyft? Because if you're just suing this guy, odds are he probably doesn't have a lot of money,
He probably doesn't have a job anymore, which is
awful,
totally different,
terrible
rant.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many. But then the third one, which we were just talking about, is damages. And so damages are, if all those other pieces go together, well, then what is the amount of suffering or pain or whatever it is? And so I think it was Gwyneth Paltrow had a case, and her damages were $1. She was trying to prove that she was innocent of this other thing, but she didn't suffer damages. Yes, she won everything, but she won $1. And that's, to me, there's all kind of defenses of this even being a liable claim, a viable claim. But throw that all out, even if you win, your damages are zero, or maybe $5 for the ride. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What, she didn't have to pay for it.
He refunded her money as well.
I just don't get it.
So on top of that, though, if her case goes to trial, the thing is that the video is still up on her Instagram page.
Right.
There's also a picture the same night that she posted where it's even after this happened to me, I'm still going to see y'all at the Red after party or whatever it was. So she still went to the
club.
party. Yeah. And she seemed to be in good. She wasn't too humiliated or embarrassed to post later on.
Yeah.
And and she's continued to post. She had a new video yesterday that she uploaded on YouTube.
Yeah.
And guess what? Unfortunately, and I feel for her in this, every comment is very, I mean, if she felt hurt and embarrassed before, I don't even know how she could still be posting. I would have shut all my social media channels down. These people are brutal on the internet.
Well, you talk about, kind of the opening of the show a little bit, and we were talking about, the internet and how it changes. Yeah. You're in marketing. You know marketing better than anybody. The old expression was, any news is good news. Is that still? What is your opinion on that? Now, see, this isn't just the lawyer show.
No, and I'm going to share. I'm actually going to share a quick little story about the power of the internet because you bring that up. A former client. Some people probably don't know who listens to this, but I used to work for a marketing agency before I worked for the law firm. And one of our clients, it was an event that was going on. It was a fair actually, and they had a person posted on social media that their significant other had almost fallen out of the ride, like the ride had malfunctioned. And there's no amount of PR prep or response because as soon as it was brought to our attention, because they didn't tag anybody from the fair, right? So we didn't know until somebody saw it and goes, oh my gosh, have you seen this?
Right.
By the time we saw it, it had been shared, I think, 10,000 times. 10,000.
Right.
By the time it was over, okay, not even over, right? I say over, but it's probably still out there. It's still out there, right?
Yeah.
But by the end of the week of the fair, it had been shared 100,000 times.
Right. There's no coming back from that.
And there's no. What can you do?
No.
It's out there. You can't stop it.
Unless you're Taylor Swift.
You can't
get
make
that
her
off
take.
the
You
internet.
couldn't make the person take their post down, right? Yeah. So
that's only Tay.
So that's just a small story.
You got to take those with a grain of salt, though. I mean, we say assumption of the risk.
Yeah.
You're getting on a ride that was on a tractor trailer 2 days ago
and
put up by some questionable people with some wrenches.
Maybe
that's a stereotype.
Might be hand tightened. We don't know. No.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is it doesn't matter, right?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter because of course they had the ride inspected. They did all the things they were supposed to do after that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because the internet has now shared it.
Absolutely.
And there we go.
And so like I do feel bad for this woman. Yep. And I don't feel bad for her that she couldn't get a ride. I don't at all.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her that I think that this was a complete setup by her.
It can't be the first time it's happened to her.
No,
right?
I mean, and it's not a coincidence that this is the only state in the United States that has this as a protected class. That's just not a coincidence. And it's not a coincidence that she didn't order the bigger vehicle. I drove a Mazda Protege for many years, and it was a little piece of trash car, right? And I'll be the first to admit, I'm a little guy, and it was small for me. She wouldn't fit in the car, and if she did, it probably would break it. And I'm not even being sarcastic. I'm serious. Like you can't. So what happens if the car breaks? So
that was my question.
Well, I mean,
what happens if she had got in it?
Well, for the viewers out here, we'll show some pictures, of her that are off her own Instagram.
Yeah.
Just so that you can kind of get an idea, how large she is. One of them, she is sitting in the back of some type of SUV. And I don't mean the back seat. I mean the actual back hatchback area.
Right.
Yeah.
And she almost takes up the entire width of the car.
Yeah.
So I don't know what type of sedan this guy was in, but it was not a large car.
Mercedes-Benz, I believe. Right?
It didn't look very large
coupe,
to me.
It was a small coupe.
And the guy was very nice. He didn't say anything about her being too big. He said, "My car is too small."
Yeah.
He gave her a solution. He said, "Hey, I think you should order the XL version." He was still very polite about it. And what's interesting about it too is that she was very nice about it too.
Right.
And I thought that was perhaps she was in shock, right? Give the benefit of the doubt. But it was a very for a viral video, it was a little tame as far as the interaction between them, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And so, again, I feel for her, but I think this attack on this driver who's probably lost his job, I could not find that on the internet. So, let us know in the comments. But
Lyft probably had to just to protect themselves, which is terrible to say, but that's probably had to. I mean,
so my question is Lyft even liable in this case?
So I think we got to throw a lot of things out. We got to throw a lot of things out. So I'm going to throw that liability is not an issue on that. Okay. This woman should win on liability, which I don't believe. But let's for the hypothetical.
Sure.
That we're under Michigan law, so it's a protected class. She has damages. Let's say, how you would have damages in a case like this is obviously the public humiliation if you could prove that. Yep. Secondly, if you ordered this ride and you couldn't get the ride and then something happened to you before the next one could get there. You could let's say that she got hit by a car or got abducted or anything like that. You could essentially tie that in, right?
Okay.
So all that, let's say that's true. I still don't know how you get Lyft on the hook for this driver.
Because they are independent contractors, by
right? The way. So you're going to have to show something about the training, their policies, and so if they have a policy that says don't pick up somebody over 400 pounds in Michigan, you're going to lose. They're going to be on the hook,
which we know they do not.
Which there's no way. There's no way.
They're not idiots, and that's the shield that Lyft, Uber Eats, so many of these different companies are acting behind. Even the Amazon drivers that are delivering your packages do not, according to Amazon, work for Amazon.
And the bad thing,
they work for another company. They're Amazon delivery drivers that work for some other company, even though Amazon dictates everything that they do, their hours, how they go, their route, everything. There's a lot of legal battles coming up in the future with auto accidents and whether or not Amazon is an entity that has liability or whether these are private contractors, that we don't,
and why that's important and why there's so many fights, because I know you know it, but
sure.
Why there's so many fights is because just Georgia, 80% of the people on the road have minimum coverage, which is $25,000. So, I'll be the first to tell you, if you have a car accident and you lose a loved one, $25,000 all you get. That's not a lot. There's lots of, you may have $4 million in medical bills. So why that's so important, why that's such a fight is these big corporations are saying you're just an independent contractor. Lyft saying you're just an independent contractor. Hypothetical of if this Dank woman got hit by Lyft, right? So then you still can't get the Lyft. You get only the minimum coverage of the driver.
Yeah.
So they're hiding behind it, but they're making all this money. So that's the fight. Can you get to the corporation that has the insurance of millions and millions of dollars, or can you only get the minimum coverage that I guarantee you 99% of the drivers have that work for these companies?
Yeah.